Oh my gosh. Do not say that. It is a different kind of love, but I would never say anything like that.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Beth Major with the USGA Communications team, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the fourth and final USGA Member Town Hall of 2020. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for being a USGA member. These events are among the many benefits exclusive to USGA members, as we provide you with insider access to USGA leadership, USGA champions, and some of the biggest names and stories in the game. Today, we're excited to be here to talk about the U.S. Women's Open, a championship that is celebrating its diamond anniversary this week with the 75th playing of the championship at Champions Golf Club right here in Houston. This marks my 20th year at the USGA, kind of hard to believe, but I've had the opportunity to attend many U.S. Women's Open championships over those 2 decades. It's a special event, and we're glad to share our excitement with you today. I should note that as I looked at the attendee list earlier today, I was delighted to see that among the many of you who have joined us today, we have several USGA champions and U.S. Women's Open participants on the line with us. It's a testament to your support of and enthusiasm for the championship, and we're very grateful that you joined us here today. Today, we are pleased to be joined by 3 individuals who will be center stage throughout this week at Champions Golf Club. We've brought them together to talk about the role USGA championships have played in their lives and their excitement for this championship, the final major of 2020, which will get underway in just 2 days. Let me welcome our panelists for the conversation today. First, Brittany Lang, a native Texan and the 2016 U.S. Women's Open champion. Danielle Kang, a 2-time U.S. Women's Amateur champion and the number 4 ranked player in the world. And Robin Burke, a veteran of 46 USGA championships, the 2016 USA Curtis Cup team captain, and the vice president of our host, Champions Golf Club. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get into the program, I want to encourage all of you with us today to post questions for Brittany, Danielle, and Robin. You should see the question box on the right side of your screen, but if you don't, click the 3 dots on the bottom of the screen to expand it. And as a reminder, please ask questions in the question box, not the chat box. Thanks very much. Robin, I'd like to start with you. Many in the audience today likely know about Champions Golf Club, but might not know its backstory. Can you describe what makes the club so special and talk about the level of excitement among the members, the staff, and personally for you and your husband, Jackie, to host this U.S. Women's Open?
Well, I think it's important to say this is our 19th major championship here. This club started in 1957 with the late Jimmy DeMeritt and Jack Burke. Interestingly enough, they both learned to play the game from Jack Burke Sr., who was the pro at River Oaks Country Club. And little DeMeritt used to babysit Jack. He was 13 years older than him. So they grew up playing together. They both became great champions, and the friendship grew through the years, and they decided to come out here in the middle of nowhere to build this championship golf course. And back in the day, they wanted a site that the USGA would come to, and they had played in many U.S. Opens, and they knew what to build, a big course that could hold a huge gallery. And that's the Cypress course that the women are playing on this week. So in 69, Champions hosted the men's U.S. Open, and so we've come full circle, and we're hosting the women this week. I'm very happy about that.
We are thrilled. We're thrilled to be here, and we're so grateful for your wonderful hospitality and for opening your wonderful courses to us. Danielle, this will be your 12th U.S. Women's Open. You played your first as a 14-year-old in 2007. What do you remember about that experience?
I didn't know much about the U.S. Opens when I was 14 years old. I actually wasn't the one even signed up for it. My brother signed me up, and I played in Pine Needles. I know we're going back there in 2 years, but it was after playing the U.S. Open, every other golf tournaments didn't seem really relevant. I always wanted to play the USGA events. Making the U.S. Open got me into the U.S. junior girls, the U.S. Women's Amateur tournaments, and those were just memories that I will treasure. I met a lot of people, and the golf courses that I got to play as a young kid, it was pretty amazing. And to be honest, I've been looking for Robin and Jackie all week, so I'm really excited that I finally found her. I was told to find them by Butch because Jackie gave Butch his first golf lesson here. That's a fun fact. Yeah, so.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to bring you together. Brittany, this will be your 16th consecutive U.S. Women's Open. I'd like to start at the beginning, back in 2005, when you almost won as an amateur in a pretty chaotic finish at Cherry Hills. Can you describe what you remember from that week, especially as everything unfolded as everyone came down the stretch?
Yeah, it was a special week. Cherry Hills was a beautiful golf course. I just remember seeing Annika and Meg Mallon and a lot of famous girls I've always looked up to, and I was definitely in awe, but I just remember being super focused and just sticking to my game plan and playing really, really solid golf. But I also remember being extremely nervous. That was kind of my first taste of the U.S. Open, and I always thought my game was made for a U.S. Open. I was a good ball striker and a little bit more conservative player, so I just think it was made for U.S. Open. But Cherry Hills was really special. My first U.S. Open to play so well. I was very fortunate.
And 11 years later, you proved that your game was indeed a U.S. Women's Open winning level when you found yourself in contention again at Cordoval. Can you talk about that week and what enabled you to claim the title in 2016?
Yeah. I always say what you think about, you bring about. And I always told myself I was going to win a U.S. Open. I just always told myself my game was so good for U.S. Open courses and how the USGA set it up. But at Cordoval, it was such a great course. I just remember being super focused. I don't think I was playing extremely well, but I just remember working with my sports psychologist and focusing on my process and focusing on the now and just kind of going about my business, working on each shot by shot, which I always think helps so much rather than thinking about so many different things. So I just remember being focused and confident and committed to my process for 72 holes, which is hard to do, and it was just a great week.
And in fact, it turned out to be 75 holes. You claimed the title in a playoff that year. Yeah. Danielle, you are a USGA champion as well. In fact, in the last 80 years, only 4 players have won back-to-back U.S. women's amateur titles, and you are one of them. Can you talk about the emotions of winning, certainly the first title, but then back-to-back, and what that meant to you?
People still ask to this day what my favorite wins are, and it's the U.S. Women's Amateurs. The first time I won it, I was kind of the underdog, and nobody expected me to win. But the second time around, having the confidence and feeling like I was going to win it again and doing it was another thing. And it was just, there's so many memories from those tournaments that I still treasure to this day. And having my dad on the bag is definitely something I'll always remember. The feelings that I had, when you're 17 and 18, there aren't a lot of worries. And when I think about those days, there's just a lot of happiness is filled in that 2 major championships, amateur major championships. And having that title has followed me throughout my entire golf career. And it's pretty cool to still to this day be called a back-to-back U.S. Women's Amateur Champion, no matter what I do. They don't call me a major champion, they call me back-to-back U.S. Women's Amateur Champion. So it's something that I'm so thankful that I went through as an amateur, and I'll just get to cherish it for the rest of my life.
Well, certainly for everyone at the USGA, women's amateur is indeed a major title, so we believe in that very much. Robin, you have an accomplished record as a competitor as well. You've played in 46 USGA championships, as I mentioned, and captained the 2016 USA Curtis Cup team. Can you describe a couple of your favorite memories in your career as an accomplished amateur golfer?
Well, I'd have to say they're all USGA events. As an amateur, that's what you strive to play well in. Obviously, making the Curtis Cup team was huge to me. I was in my 30s, and I didn't really come into my own until my 30s. I started to play well. Prior to that, I took a lot of beatings from a lot of my friends, but it was exciting to play. We won, and then after that captain the 2016 Curtis Cup team is such a great honor, and it was a lot of fun. And we played in Ireland, and just the crowds that came out there were amazing. It's very powerful. USGA events again. I played in an amateur, got to the finals. Unfortunately, I did not win that event. I wished I had, but that didn't happen for me. But I have played in 3 Opens, but I didn't play well in any of them. But they're all very exciting, and it's about learning where your strengths and weaknesses are, and you just try to improve after every championship.
Speaking of USJ championships and USJ amateur championships, one of the wonderful things about Champions Golf Club that I think some folks might not be aware of is how the 2017 U.S. Women's Mid-Amateur came to be contested here at Champions. Robin, can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Well, sure. We had just come out of a hurricane. The water, we were flooded on the Cypress course, but the water receded quickly, and our grounds crew worked very hard to clean up the golf course. And, of course, then we heard that Florida, they were destroyed. Their golf course, they couldn't play the event. And the mid-amateur is something that's where all my friends play. And I heard they were looking for a spot to host, and sent a text to Shannon Roulard, said, "Hey, we're ready, bring it here." And she said, "Didn't you just go through a hurricane?" I said, "Yeah, but, we don't have to get ready. We stay ready. We'd like to do it." And so it happened in like an 8-week period. Couldn't have done it, obviously, without the membership and the employees we have here. And Allie Jarrett was my chair. She worked for the USJ for many years and ran a lot of mid-amateur tournaments, and she was a rock star, and couldn't have done it without her. So it was fun, though.
It is certainly a favorite story and such a moment for which we're all grateful for at the USGA. While we're talking about champions, we actually have a question from the chat from our members, and Robin, I wanted to ask you this. Can you comment on the benefits and the sacrifices from the perspective of the membership for a club that hosts a USGA championship?
Well, it's tough. You have to close down, and you don't get to play. But our members, the type member we get typically, we're all trying to get better. We're very competitive. We have over 300 members with a single handicap, so they understand competition, the importance of it, and it's important for a club. It's why people want to play your club, from the past history and all the champions that have walked the fairways. So we get it. Our membership embraces it, and we hope to bring another championship after this one.
Okay. We have several questions along the same lines for both Brittany and Danielle. Folks are curious about your preparation. Can you walk people, each of you, through the week as you arrive and how you prepare for a major championship like the U.S. Open?
Yeah, usually for the U.S. Open, I'll arrive on Sunday. Sometimes I'll come play it before. I was planning on actually coming here, but I had something come up and I wasn't able to, which I was not very happy about, because I was going to come play both of them just to get familiar. Because it's a long, strenuous week, and now with 2 courses, it's tough. But usually arrive on a Sunday, try to play 18 holes on a Monday just to see the course, and then usually 9 holes Tuesday and 9 holes Wednesday. That way I've seen the course twice, and sometimes before if I've come there before. But just 36 holes and maybe a peek before, but just a lot of attention to detail, just checking out the different spots. The USGA always sets up the courses so well. I love the layouts. I love the courses. I love how the USGA sets it up. But that's my preparation: 36 holes and just a lot of short game shots.
Danielle?
I was able to come out here for an advanced practice round. USGA set up a rule: you can play 2 days in a row, skip a day, and play 1 day. So I did that during the Houston Open, during the men's event, and that wasn't too long ago. That was probably 3 weeks ago. So I knew that the temperature, the weather wasn't going to be that much different unless we got kind of a storm coming in, but weather's perfect. I just wanted to get familiar with the golf course, and like Brittany said, just a lot of short game shots around the greens. USGA typically sets up the golf courses quite long, and going to have longer irons, woods into par 4s, and sometimes a breachable par 4 along with a really long par 3, always a kind of a 5-wood or 3-wood par 3 coming up. So I actually didn't play on Monday. I played 9 holes today and probably going to play 9 holes tomorrow, but mostly I just kind of try and get the feel for the grass around the greens and like I have Bermuda greens back at home, which was really beneficial knowing that this entire golf course is Bermuda. But having 2 golf courses for the U.S. Open, it is a bit difficult because both golf courses have different speeds and both golf courses have a little different breaks. So it's challenging. I think that is gonna come into play as well. Who gets to calibrate as fast as they can.
We have a few questions. Obviously 2020 has looked different than any other year in a variety of respects. And there are, questions in terms of how preparations might be different as a result of the pandemic and different things that you might have faced. Brittany and Danielle, did you have any, has your routine changed at all as we have dealt with the past 9 months?
At the golf course or?
Just I think in general, people are curious in terms of, your preparation and how you travel and just how has it impacted you overall?
For me, not really, to be honest. We have really efficient testing protocols that LPGA has implemented since we came back, and same with the USGA here. We just get tested when we first get here, and then we're allowed to come to the golf course, do your practices, and when you get cleared, you go into the clubhouse. But normally I don't go in the clubhouse that often anyways, so it hasn't really impacted me that much. Only thing that 2020 has given me is time, and when we were off for about 5-6 months, I was kind of in a good place, in a good part of the world where I was able to go to the golf course. So I just played a lot of golf. But other than that, there hasn't been a lot of changes. We just got to put our masks on and just keep distance. But
yep.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm more efficient. I gave birth to my daughter in January, and so I had 6 months to be with her, which was great. To be at home with her and just not travel was fantastic. But getting back out, it's tough traveling with an infant, but I just feel like I'm more efficient. We don't have locker rooms. There's not a lot of dining where you can camp out, and so I've actually really enjoyed it. I've cut down my warm-up times, and I think it's been better for me, a little bit simpler and more efficient, and just being at the golf course maybe a little bit less time.
All 3 of you have shared Curtis Cup experiences, and someone on the call has inquired as to who your various captains as you were playing were. And then, Robin, if you could specifically talk about your experience as captain and just what that meant for you, realizing the prestige of the Curtis Cup and what a wonderful event it is, particularly when you're representing our country.
Barbara McIntyre was my captain. Love her. What a great player, person. Just very calm and a lot of fun. I really had a lot of respect for her. In my room, I had a saying that said, fail to prepare and prepare to fail. So I kind of still live by that today. I love that saying. As far as a captain of the Curtis Cup, it is a great honor, and it's a wonderful feeling representing the United States of America and, trying to lead a team through a great championship. It's a one-of-a-kind experience. It's hard to explain. It's just something I'll always cherish.
I played in the Curtis Cup in England, and Martha Kerouac, I believe, was my captain. Right. And we formed a special bond. We had a great team. Martha's a great lady, a lot of fun. She led us well. Michelle Wee was on that team, Paula Creamer, Jane Park. I'm trying to remember. We had a really strong team, and it was an absolute blast. I think it was the first time I played overseas, and Martha did a really good job leading us. And, it was a fun week.
I think I made the Curtis Cup, but I didn't play it.
Oh, okay.
I cheered pro and just
with back-to-back. Yep, that makes sense. Very good.
I was supposed to be on it.
And that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So, speaking of quotes, Robin, you just mentioned the fail to prepare to fail. Someone has asked Brittany about your quote, what you think about, you bring about. Along those lines, when in competition, what do you think about over every shot? Do you have swing thoughts, or do you simply focus on the target?
For me, it's just the target. I'm pretty simple and athletic, and I might not have the best swing or the best stroke, but I feel like I have good mental focus on the target, and that works for me. There's a million different ways to do it, but for me, early in the week, I work more on fundamentals, but I do a lot of mental practices, like balance, tempo, and tension drills, and a lot of seeing, feeling, hearing shots, different things like that. But when it's time to play on Thursday, it's quiet mind, target, and that's the only thing I'm focused on.
And along those lines, someone has also asked, and Danielle, perhaps you'd want to tackle this one. When you're competing in the women's amateur, and you have particularly the sort of the grind of a 36-hole final match, is it difficult or easy to stay completely focused? Do you, with you and your dad, do you talk about other things? What does that look like as you go through a 36-hole championship final?
It's not just the 36-hole championship final that would get me in and out of focus. I'm actually all over the place. Golf takes a long time. We only stand over the ball for less than 15, 20 seconds. It just takes a long time to prepare. I can't focus for that long, so I try and just kind of zone in and out. I play a lot of games. I play Would You Rathers. I play. I want to play a lot of random games. There's a game that I made up with, you have to start naming everything that you see. It's like I Spy, but quick rounds. But when it's time to hit, I have that circle zone where I step into that mode and I have to focus back into the shot and be, like Brittany said, be quiet and just imaginative. And after I hit it, I'm right back into just lollygagging. But
one question that I'd like to ask of all three of you, is there any one shot from your USGA playing career that sticks out as an absolute highlight? Robin, do you want to tackle that one first? Or if one comes to mind, feel free to jump in from anyone.
Let me see. Playing in a mid-amateur out here one year when Virginia Grimes won it. I can't remember my opponent's name, but she was pretty tough to handle. And I made a hole-in-one on number 12. So it kind of turned the match around. I remember that. I made it with a 7-wood at the time. I don't know, I gave it to someone, my little 7-wood. Hoped it brought them luck, but that was probably my greatest shot, I guess.
Excellent.
Man, I was just going back through all of my memorable shots.
It's a pretty broad question.
USGA events, but the coolest one for me was hole 16 at Cordoval, and I made a long putt on the par 3 for birdie in regulation. And I just never forget looking over at my brother on the bag and the look on his face. He normally was just so calm, but the look on his face was priceless. It was just like, holy cow, she's going to do this. And I just remember that so vividly. And I remember seeing Angela Stanford and Amy Yang, which was a great pairing for me on Sunday, and they were cheering me on. It was just the coolest moment, making the birdie and looking over and seeing everybody supporting me. But seeing my brother's face was so cool because he was just in shock that he was like, she's really going to do this.
I watched that. That was a sick putt. Mine would have to be, honestly, the U.S. Women's Amateur 2010 final hole, final putt on 17. Had a 4-footer. It was to win the match against Jessica Korda, and I called my dad over and I asked him if he can buy me a TV if I make it. And I got a TV.
That a girl.
Yep, that it's just I don't know why I asked him that. All my friends had TV in their rooms, and everyone wanted a TV. So that's something we still talk about.
Excellent. We are a little bit off the topic of the Women's Open. For all three of you, if you could give one piece of advice to a young girl who was developing a passion for the game, what would it be?
Mine would be to start early and make sure you have good basic fundamentals, because if you don't, man, you got to fight it for the rest of your life. So start out with good instruction and try to have fun and enjoy the game. But good instruction, good grip is key.
That's great advice. I would say honor who you are. You know, if you have maybe a homemade swing, but it works, honor that and play with that. And if you're technical or whatever it is, try not to let, if you're having success and if you're good and you're having fun, just honor who you are and what kind of golfer you are, and just be yourself and have fun with it. I wouldn't let too many people try to change it. If you're having fun and it's effective, I think a lot of players try to change to when they keep moving through the levels, and my advice would be honor who you are as a person for your game.
I think my advice would be that if you're pursuing for this to be a career, a lot of parents ask me and a lot of younger girls ask me this, but you gotta love the game, because golf doesn't owe you anything and you're not entitled to anything. Golf's a one sport. I feel that no matter how hard you work, it sometimes just doesn't go your way. So I always tell people you gotta love the sport for it to love you back. So just enjoy it and have fun, because it's really hard to have fun most of the time.
Quite true. And no matter what level you play at, I think we all are quite familiar with that. Brittany, this has to be a little bit of a special feeling for you as you prepare to play a U.S. Women's Open in your home state. Can you talk about what it's like to be here in Texas competing for the Women's Open?
Yeah, it's actually surreal because we really haven't come close to Texas. We play a lot up in the Northeast, a lot of great courses up there. So it's such a treat to be here. I hope the weather cooperates. It was fun playing last week, staying at home and just driving down. I have my family here, and it's just great. The course is great, and it's always good to be in Texas, in my opinion. So I'm just happy to be here.
Danielle, as we've mentioned and talked about, you're already a two-time USGA champion, a major champion, and one of the top-ranked players in the world. Can you talk about what winning this championship would mean to you?
I was talking about this yesterday. They said, what would having a U.S. Women's Open championship under your belt mean to you? And I said, I haven't won it yet, so I don't know how it feels. I'm sure it's one of the most greatest feeling you'll ever have. But I said that I would like to win this event just to kind of, in a sense, say that I want to be a champion of the USGA again. But more so than anything, it's hard for me to kind of wrap my head around winning or not winning, because, like I said, I haven't won it yet. But it's just out of all my wins, though, still to this day, nothing tops how I felt winning my USAMs. I think that's something that's really valuable. How I felt then, how I feel about it now is very valuable to me. So I don't even know if winning the U.S. Women's Open will top how I feel there, but I'll let you know when it happens.
Excellent. Robin, we obviously are in a different place right now, and we will not be able to have spectators here with us throughout the week, but we are super excited to present the championship to fans around the world through a variety of platforms, including tons of coverage hours on NBC and Golf Channel and Peacock. Can you talk a little bit about what people can expect to see as they enjoy the championship around the world this week, just from a course perspective and overall?
Well, I think they're, first of all, going to see a beautiful golf course. Both courses are in impeccable shape. The Cypress course is a big course. It demands long tee shots, and your second shot, if you don't have control of your irons, you're going to see a lot of lag putting out there. If you have control of the irons and you can quarter the greens and get close to the pin, it's not going to be bad. If you don't, you're going to see some tough putting. And I hope the girls worked on their lag putting, because that's going to be key here.
I think one more question for both Brittany and Danielle. Can you talk about the importance of your relationship with your caddy? How key is that to your performance and to your success?
I consider it pretty important, because I have in my own opinion, pretty good guy on my bag. I would say that I'm a little different in a sense because I don't really care about if they have the proper numbers or proper clubs. I got to hang out with this guy for 10 hours a day. So if it's somebody I want to hang out with and vice versa and have a good time with and joke around and be serious with at the same time, it's honestly worse than finding a boyfriend probably because you really have to hang out with this person all day and you're moody all day, and it's just, I think that's really important to be able to keep the emotional state together and keep each other focused and keep have the same goals with each other on what you want to succeed as a team. And having a teammate is very important to me. And I know it's an individual sport, but what he does for me on the golf course really helps me perform the way I want to perform and excel in my own game. So I believe it's very important to have that dynamic.
Yeah, it's extremely important. I had my brother on the bag for 14 years, and he got a job at home. He has a young daughter and just wanted to spend time at home, which I understand. I miss him so much. I don't want to talk about it because I just end up crying, but I mean, I was so fortunate to have my brother on the bag for that long. But I found a guy now, and I really like him. His name's Chris Nash. He actually grew up playing this course. I think he does a great job, and Danielle is exactly right. You spend a lot of time with these guys or girls, and you want somebody who you can have fun with and talk to and joke around with and, ask them serious questions. But it was hard finding somebody, especially with this COVID year. I was fortunate to have my brother for so long, and I cherish those moments because it was special winning a U.S. Open or winning a tournament with my brother, and who better to help you than your brother or your sister. So, but I found someone. I found Chris, and I really like him. And it's important to have a good relationship, and it's important to work as a team. I think it's a big thing that gets overlooked. That it's such a 15th club, and it's really important.
We talk so much about the USGA as family. There are various levels to that, and certainly, whether it is Robin and Jackie and everything that they've done for the game and everything they're doing for the Women's Open. Danielle, I certainly remember, really special memories of you and your dad at those 2 Women's Amateur Championships. And Brittany, for you and your brother, it's family and golf, and the USGA Championships really bring on a special meaning, and I really appreciate you sharing all those thoughts today. They're really special and bring back some really great memories for me and for many of the folks who I'm sure are with us today. Before we conclude our program, we'd once again like to thank you all for being USGA members. Because of your support, the USGA is able to deliver on our mission to champion and advance the game. That includes making the game more sustainable, investing in junior programs, enhancing the amateur golf experience, which our participants today have all been so richly a part of, preserving and celebrating the history of the game, and making golf more inclusive. We could not do it without all of you. Spread the word, invite your friends to be USGA members so they can have the same access that you do to great events like this one with Brittany, Danielle, and Robin, along with the many other member benefits like Golf Journal magazine. As I mentioned, we will have many, many hours of coverage of this championship throughout the week on NBC, Golf Channel, and Peacock. More than 25 hours of live coverage from Champions Golf Club starting on Thursday. I encourage you to visit uswomensopen.com and the USGA and US Women's Open social channels for more information and some really great content throughout the week. And finally, we'd love to hear from you. Please chime in. Tell us what you like, tell us where we can improve, and tell us what you'd like to hear more of. We really enjoy having you all join us for these member town halls and would love to know more about the topics that you'd like to hear about. My sincere thanks again today to Brittany, Danielle, and Robin, and thanks to all of you for joining us today. Enjoy your evening, and we will look forward to seeing you Thursday morning on the first tee for the first round of the 75th U.S. Women's Open Championship. Thank you.